Hello and welcome to Tech Talk, and we're joined now by Access Health and Safety, formerly Safety Media. They provide a cost-effective way of managing health and safety risk with one simple unifying solution. The integrated solution combines RoSPA-approved health and safety e-learning with market-leading learning management technology and health and safety risk management tools. They're committed to helping customers develop safer processes and safer people through a more secure and efficient approach to mitigating risk and evidencing compliance. Now, we're going to be seeing a presentation where we'll see some of these solutions in action with a demo from our health and safety expert, Ian Bolton. After the presentation, Ian will join us live along with two of his colleagues, Chris Chappell and Louise Taylor, and that is an opportunity to ask any questions you might have after watching the presentation, and the team will try to answer them as best they can. So while you're watching the presentation, if something comes into your mind, then please do pop the question in a box on the top right-hand corner of your screen. But for now, let's watch the presentation.
Hello, my name's Ian Bolton from Access Group. I'm here speaking to you today as part of the SHE event. What we're going to cover is an introduction to Access People and our health and safety solution here at Access Group, a little on why our clients use our health and safety solution, and then moving into the demo, which will give you some detail around what that looks like. Part one of our session today is to take you through some slides regarding our Access health and safety solution. In terms of what we offer within the Access People division here at Access Group, we have a blend of market-leading software solutions across HR, learning, health and safety, and compliance. Now, today we're going to be focusing on health and safety, which I'll get into more detail on in a couple of slides' time. To start with, I want to talk you through some of the reasons why clients use our Access health and safety solutions. Firstly, and perhaps the key driver, is to increase compliance. Our clients are looking for a system that allows them to fully track and have full visibility of all their due diligence around health and safety management. Number two is removing inefficiencies in how they manage health and safety. As you can imagine, we have a lot of clients that come to us that have no health and safety software in place at the moment, and they're trying to manage health and safety through a series of manual processes around spreadsheets and Outlook and Word, and a lot of time and resource is wasted managing health and safety in that way. Thirdly, clients are looking for a single system. That could be a single system through all their people software across learning, HR, and health and safety, or it could purely just be within that health and safety space where they're looking for e-learning, incidents, risk assessments, etc., all through a single system, which the system I will talk about in a little bit more detail. Number four is engagement. A key part of managing health and safety is the ability to not only support and improve culture, but also to be able to decentralize those parts of health and safety, which takes time and resource away from the internal health and safety team, but also supports certifications such as ISO 45001. Next is that expertise. All the health and safety professionals we speak to, I don't think any of them say that they wouldn't like more time back to be adding value and expertise in their chosen area. And then finally is cost. So through a combination of all those areas I've mentioned, increase compliance, removing inefficiencies, single systems, engagement and expertise, you're actually driving down the cost of managing health and safety, and actually any investment in health and safety can actually be a very strong return on investment exercise. So the solution itself from Access Health and Safety comprises these 5 areas. Now, the demo is going to be focused on risk assessments, audits, document manager, and incident reporting. And then on the next slide, I'll talk you through some of the e-learning areas that we can support you with. And all of these modules within the Access Health and Safety solution are underpinned by our actions and workflows. You've got some real detailed and visual reporting, including dashboards. And that's all then underpinned and delivered through Access Workspace, which is our unified software technology that allows you to take any business process software that you purchase from Access Group, all within the same space, no additional logins, no additional platforms. So the e-learning content that I mentioned, we have a plethora of content available here at Access Group. And what we focus on for our health and safety solution is our RoSPA approved health and safety library, everything from generic through to specialist courses available for you to deliver to your staff. And also we've got a workplace well-being suite of courses, with that being a very hot topic at the moment, for you to be able to roll out and support staff as part of any workplace wellbeing initiatives that you're running. So now on to the health and safety demonstration, where I'm going to show you the software in a little bit more detail. Following on from the slides, as promised, part 2, running you through a more detailed demo of the health and safety solution here at Access. So the screen that you're able to see now is delivered through Access Workspace. So this is our unified technology to allow you to access any piece of software that you are taking from Access Group, and you're looking at the editable dashboard that allows you through Workspace to pull in various apps that summarizes information from the individual pieces of software that you are utilizing. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm showing you two of the health and safety Workspace apps, so a user can see what audit checklists they've got outstanding, and indeed any health and safety documentation that they need to view. And then also an individual can see what e-learning courses that they have outstanding and need to complete, as well as any learning events that are available for them to sign on to, and a graphical representation of both their compliance status from a learning point of view and any additional development courses that they're signed up to. So moving on to the health and safety platform itself, most clients wish to be greeted by the graphical dashboard. So this allows them again to be pulling in information from the health and safety system that is most valuable to them. So this allows them to summarize incidents, actions, audits, all in one place. And this screen here is fully customizable. So a client can pull in any information and choose any graph type that suits them to summarize that information, as well as having multiple dashboards available. So they can quickly toggle between a day-to-day dashboard versus an executive team dashboard, for example. What then underpins these dashboards is the reporting function. This allows, through fully automated reports, a live look at any of the information on the system, and they can look at things like training reports, various incident reports, around 15 for that one in particular, audit reports, action reports, all accessible at the click of a button and all live via the system. And there's various other departmental, module specific and indeed search criteria that they can use as part of the reports function. So they can pull the information they require onto the screen, see a snapshot. In this particular case, I'm pulling in an incident summary report, see the dates, the statuses, who was involved. They can then bulk email from this report, so they can make users aware of any information that is required to them. They can also save that report, so they can go and quickly access it later based on all of the different criteria they've chosen, as well as an email setup function, so they can make that report visible to somebody who needs to see it on either a daily, weekly or monthly basis. Now I'm going to look at an end user's experience when they're looking at the system. So through my work over here, an end user can go on and they're able to add an incident, either via a static document or a series of customizable drop-downs, which I'll run you through the administrator's view on that shortly. They can go in and see any actions that have been assigned to them as part of the platform itself, any involvement in the risk assessment process, whether they're an author or an approver. They can see that via this tab here. Any audits or checklists that they need to complete, and indeed any documentation that they need to read and acknowledge, as well as some specific COVID modules that we have, allowing people to report any symptoms that they have, and indeed allow the client to manage that ongoing. So the incident is made up of two main screens, and there'll be a theme running through some of these. So there's the incident settings in the background, allows the client to fully customize the various drop downs that are available, either via the end user and how they're flagging up the particular incident, or indeed how phase 2 is managed. So going into the incident reporting screen itself, again, they can see, similar to the dashboards and reporting, you can see a snapshot of all the incidents that have been flagged on the system, and you're able to filter by dates and severity, affected user, etc. So once an incident has been flagged up by an end user, the person responsible can then go in and take a look at that incident, change any details that's required from phase 1, and then during phase 2 they can start to build up any due diligence that's required from an attached document standpoint, whether that be videos, images, policies, procedures that are relevant to that incident. And then they can go through and start to add any injuries, if there's been any off the back of that incident, whether any damage has occurred, whether it was purely a near miss, whether any security breach was involved, or whether it was purely a safety observation, as opposed to anything more serious than that. Once an injury, a near miss or observation, or any of those tabs, once anything has been added to those, what you're then able to do via the system is generate actions that are specific for an individual. So off the back of an injury, you're absolutely going to need to take in some risk reducing actions to ensure that doesn't happen again. Or if it's a near miss, for example, you may wish to, off the back of a series of near misses that you're seeing trend data through the reporting, you can go on and put in a series of actions off the back of a series of near misses, as opposed to purely an individual one. There's also system generated actions as part of this. So if you're adding an injury, for example, a RID or reportable checklist will pop up to allow you to tick various boxes, and it'll inform you whether that needs to be reported to RIDOR. When clients come to us wanting a solution around incidents, a lot of the time they're looking to remove even paper forms or accident that are on site, and as you can imagine, head office don't get any visibility of that. So by having a system like this, whether it's head office or the health and safety team, they can see at all times all of the live incidents that are happening on the system, which automatically feeds through into reports and dashboards, so you're not having to manually produce those. Moving on to the audit module now. So as an administrator, you can go in and create a series of audits and checklists that you can push out to users that will show up in their My Work area. That can range from a simple weekly health and safety walk round to an annual display screen equipment audit. And the real power around this is, firstly, you can add your audit and give it a cycle in terms of the numbers of days. So that audit, if it's a weekly walk round, obviously would need to be completed weekly, or if it's something on an annual basis, that will automatically refresh and prompt the user to complete that again. So what the audit module is comprised of is a series of settings where you can allow an end user to add files, action risk, etc. But the real core of it is the ability to go in, create a complete bespoke question set that sits within that audit or checklist. And the real winner for our clients here is based on a response that somebody clicks when answering a question, actually you can create a direct action off the back of that. So as an example, if through the weekly walk round, if somebody says that the health and safety poster has been ripped down or it's not there anymore, if somebody answers that question in that way, it can push out a notification, which you set up via this tab here, to the person responsible to be able to replace that, or indeed if it's a display screen equipment audit, they can, and that they've not got a height adjustable chair, again you can choose where that option gets pushed into, and then each audit can then be assigned to either departments en masse, or indeed individual users. Now, the real winner for the Audit Manager module, a lot of our clients come to us and say that they've still got these on things like spreadsheets, which somebody may go around with a sort of clipboard and do it on site, and then type up their findings into a spreadsheet, and then it gets emailed into somebody to look at. So very easy for those actions and those at-risk selections that they're making through the questions to be missed. So having it fully automated alongside incidents and some of the other modules that we're going to look at is a very powerful thing. So next is on to our risk assessments. So similar to some of the other modules, you've got your settings in the background. This will save you time ongoing, as this allows you to click some of these and choose them each time you go in, as opposed to it all being free text. So here, this is things like who's going to be at risk for your risk assessments, your hazard selections, and indeed your risk scales. But the risk assessments, your main screen, similar to the audit, similar to the incidents, gives you that snapshot of what it is, what the risks are, and that snapshot will allow you to see which risk assessments you should be spending more of your time on. You can schedule them. So whether that be on an annual basis or even longer, you can schedule that to revisit that annually. And of course, with a COVID-19 risk assessment, which has become kind of common vocab for a lot of our clients, you can have that allow that to be revisited on an even more regular basis. Some weekly, some are looking at that fortnightly, to ensure that they're absolutely doing everything they can to mitigate risk in that area. So essentially, what you're creating with your risk assessments is you're going in and you're replicating these by adding your hazard types, who's at risk, the consequences of those, and very much scoring those from a risk point of view. But what it has, similar to the other modules, is those built-in actions. So by having additional control measures on an ongoing basis through risk assessments, you're able to not only track those actions, but you're actually allowing you to reduce that residual risk over time, which is really key from a due diligence point of view, as it shows that you're continually improving in the area of health and safety. And again, those actions get automatically pushed out to whoever you feel is the person most appropriate to complete that. So our clients tend to come to us with a risk assessment framework that is delivered via a summary on a spreadsheet, and then each individual risk assessment on different Word documents. They struggle with version control, keeping them up to date, obviously pushing those actions out via email, and unless somebody confirms that they've been completed, you're just assuming that they have, which using assumptions in health and safety is always a difficult space to be in. So that's our risk assessment module. And finally, our document manager. This allows you to upload any health and safety documentation that you wish to surface to an individual. So what you do here is essentially you upload the individual document, you click whether you want them to purely acknowledge or accept or reject the documentation, and then you can curate those documents into a folder structure, and then that folder structure can then be pushed out to either departments or users, and you purely click the documentation that you wish for a user to see. Our clients find this extremely useful, especially alongside the training, as it allows them to either deliver very company specific documentation like policies or procedures or safe systems of work, but actually some of our clients use it to surface any bespoke content or training documentation that sits really nicely alongside the RoSPA approved e-learning courses that I have already mentioned. And that's everything we wanted to show you today. Thank you so much for your time to listen to us taking you through that. We're now going to move on to our Q&A session, where we'll pull out some questions to answer based on the session today. Worth also noting at this point, if you get in touch with us within 90 days of the presentation today, you could benefit through up to 20% discount on any Access Health and Safety solutions. So now I'm just going to go and pick out some questions to take a look at.
Well, I am delighted to say that we have Ian Bolton now live with us as part of this Q&A, and joining him are two of his colleagues. We have Chris Chappell and Louise Taylor. Welcome to you both. Ian, first of all, thank you for that presentation. Whereabouts are you in the world?
Hi, Geeta. I'm in Woking in Surrey. That's home for me.
Great. And welcome, Louise and Chris. Louise and Chris, I think you're both in North Wales. Is that right, Louise?
We are indeed, yeah. Just not far from Colwyn Bay, so a few hundred yards from the sea, which is lovely. And it's sun shining today as well, so I should be on that beach.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. Well, we have got lots of questions that have come in, so I'm going to crack on with these questions. Thank you so much for sending them through. Firstly, are the reports saved within the cloud and locally is a question, Ian?
So the answer to that is it can be both. So the beauty of the platform with it, yes, being cloud-based, is those dashboards and reports are always live and always available. So whether you're in the office or at home, you're able to get a live view of your health and safety compliance. Now, if you wanted any of those any reports saved locally, there is the ability to download those as either a CSV or a PDF file if you wanted to use them while you were offline, for example.
Great, thank you. And actually staying on the subject of reports, because we've got another question that's asking, have you found that more reports are being filed while using this?
Well, yeah, and I think it was a very much a sort of byproduct of obviously the last 15 months have been very different times, and with the uptake of and the requirement for more remote-based software and more completion of digital learning courses, for example, businesses are very much needing to report on it more to ensure that they're adhering to the levels of compliance that they're aiming for. And maybe Lou, you jump in on that. Louise works very, very closely with our customer
Yeah,
base.
absolutely. I think the volume of usage that we've seen over the last 12 months, it's never stopped, and people want to be able to report back to the board in their management meetings. So yeah, definitely, I agree with Ian. The actual volume and usage of the reports and dashboards has never been as great as it is now.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that question. Another question that we have is, from where does the LMS pull the documentation that I might need to read within the audit checklist?
Okay, so it sounds like maybe a couple of questions asked in one there. I'll give you two answers as I believe they're sort of separate functionality on the system. So from a documentation standpoint, you can surface those in a couple of ways. So via the content manager on the learning platform, you can book any e-learning courses with any documentation that's relevant for that training, and then via the document manager on the health and safety software, that's where you can surface your health and safety documentation, such as policies, procedures, method statements, etc. So that's how you can surface those documents. So it's very much specific to your organization. And then with the audits and checklists, what you can do there, that's a configurable tool where you can go and create audits and checklists for your business. Now you can upload documents into that when someone's completing the audit that are relevant for that question. So things like pictures or supporting documents to sit alongside that. So somebody can see a response to a question and then see a little bit more detail about whoever's completing the audits.
I think I'd add to the back end of that, Ian, as well, for context. I guess the overarching area of the solution that kind of brings those elements together and to the fore in a view where you have that overarching kind of visibility becomes about the dashboards, which are configurable, and we can have information on those dashboards that may be pulling information from the training side, from the audit side, from the policy and documents side, and perhaps also from things like incident reporting, and start to create those views that start to give you those links perhaps between the comprising elements of the compliance solution.
All right, lovely. Thank you. And thank you for the question. Hope you got the answer that you were looking for. Another question that we've got here is, can users have limited control? Certain people edit, delete information.
Yeah, so absolutely. Yeah, the system is based on each user being given certain user permissions on the system. As you can imagine, an administrator, for example, would have much more editing and see all rights compared to an end user. And what the real beauty of the system is you can have various roles that actually sit between those two extremes. So actually, if a line manager needs a slightly different access to, say, a head of department, for example, you can tweak what they can see across all of the modules, including the dashboard and reporting.
Okay, great, thank you. And so, Ian, in your presentation at the end, you mentioned something about an event discount, and someone is asking, how do I access the event discount?
So if you book a meeting with us through the portal, so probably just above my head, I think there's a book a meeting button. If you book a meeting with us, we can have a discussion, and that's what can trigger the discount for you.
I believe there's a link to the landing page on the right sidebar, I believe.
Okay, lovely, thank you. So we've got a couple of minutes left, so if you do have any questions still, please pop them in the box and I'll try and put them to the team. But as we're finishing off, I guess, there are lots of benefits I'm sure that you would like to tell us about, but if you're going to say one thing at the moment when it comes to existing clients or new clients, what do you think are the greatest benefits, Ian, of going with your system?
So, I'll give you a few examples. They're obviously varied, but I would say from a learning standpoint, it's the ability to deliver both compliance and development training to your staff very much in a distance learning way. A lot of businesses still conduct quite a lot of their training in a classroom or face-to-face type environment. So the ability to be able to still deliver that, but in a distance approach, has been a really key area. And then secondly, I'm finding a lot in the conversations I'm having with clients. They're saying if they've got manual processes in place, and a lot of it is based in the office, so whether it's filing cabinets, Excel spreadsheets, etc. They, albeit not a perfect system, they still had visibility of that by being in the office. Of course, now everyone's from home. More and more, they want that portal into their health and safety compliance. By getting staff engaged with some of the tools, they're able to have that window. So, yeah, very much a visibility from a health and safety compliance standpoint.
Great, thank you. So we're running out of time, but Louise, if there's one thing that you would say, a key benefit?
It's having a central source of truth. So one of the things that I find is, because I onboard customers, so any new clients to the business, I take them through the implementation stage, and it's having that one area where you've got all the information feeding in, so people can log in, and as Chris mentioned, with viewing of the dashboards, it gives them that central visibility, and they can see how many incidents, how many audits have been completed, documents, all that is in one place, and that's their central source. So that's a unique selling point for us. Fantastic.
And Chris, with a final word from you.
Yeah, for me, absolutely. It's the dashboards. I think from a management perspective, certainly you've got those simple interactions and the great user experiences to take the users, the employees through the process. But as an administrator, knowing that you can log into the system and be presented straight away with an overview at a point in time, real time, where the business stands in terms of its health, safety, compliance, whether that be training or more procedural. That's the strongest facet for me of any cloud-based solution. It's management's information and visibility.
All right. Well, thank you so much to Ian, Chris and Louise for joining us as part of this Tech Talk today. And as Ian was mentioning earlier as well, if you do still have questions or you want to book in a meeting, you can just go to the exhibitor booth for the Access Group, and they'll be really happy to see you there. So that's all for now, but at 2 o'clock, we'll be back with a panel debate on creating a culture of compliance. So we hope to see you there. But for now, thank you so much to the team, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.